Hey, folks, this is Johnny, and welcome to another Studio One Snapshots. So, this subject actually comes from a discussion I had with somebody who was trying to mix their drum samples. And he says that, if he puts a compressor on the bus or whatever, it screws up the sound of the snare in most cases. So, one of the things that's missing when you're actually working with drum samples, yeah, I know I don't have my glasses on, look weird. Um, One of the things that can limit your ability to really try to get a natural sound is sometimes the crosstalk and the noise that is associated with recording real drums. So I'm sure I'm not the first one to do this, but in my mind, I came up with a little way to try to get a little bit more of a natural sound. So here's the drum kit I'm using. It is my default kit, and it's a kit that I created, and I've got every sound on a separate track. There you go. So you can see that if I tap the kick, none of the other tracks move. That's because the samples are isolated. So what I did is I went to the mix effects. So I created all of my track outputs. You can see over here. This is impact. And you can see that I created all of my outputs, put each sound on its own output, and then created a bus. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to go here to the mix effects, and I use the console shaper. Now, if you're wearing headphones and your room is totally quiet, what I want you to do, I'm going to turn off the drive, and I'm just going to use the noise and the crosstalk. If your room is totally quiet and you want to turn up the volume a little bit, if I turn on the noise and I turn it up, you can actually hear the console shaper add some noise. You hear it? A little bit of a shh, off, on, just like that. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of noise. I'm going to keep it at about, there's all the way, keep it at about 72. Now, the crosstalk. This is super important because I think this adds a nice little texture to a drum part that is all samples. So here's the drum part. I've got everything from the cowbell to the clave in there, or woodblock. It's labeled clave. All right. So remember, if I open up the actual plugin and I click each of the sounds, as soon as all of the VU meters actually come to a rest, because some of the samples are long, I've got long tails on these ones that I created. So if I hit the kick, barely anything moves. And the only reason some of them move is because the crosstalk is on. So I'm going to turn off the crosstalk. So now look what happens when I hit the kick. Nothing else moves. When I hit the snare, nothing else moves. All right. So what does the crosstalk do for me? If I solo with the crosstalk off, let's solo the snare. That's all you hear. If I solo with the crosstalk on, see, you can hear the other drum tracks bleeding through on the soloed snare. Now, in my mind, this is going to add a little bit when I put a compressor on the drums because, while it's not a natural crosstalk or bleed, I think it helps a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the noise all the way up. Oops. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn the noise all the way up. I got to turn off those messages. There we go. So if I turn off the solo. All right, so I've got my background stuff where I want it. And even when the track is stopped, you can hear the console shaper kind of cut through a little bit. All right, so let's go to our effects. And let's go to our compressor. There it is. I'm going to put that on the inserts for the bus. I always put compressors, EQs, and things like that on the bus. All right, so let's squash them a bit. Ready? Turn on the makeup. Drop the bus a little bit so it's not peaking. All right, so you can hear the compression. Here is it over compressed. So now, if I want to tame the whole kit, I can bring the attack down, and this is going to not let some of the original sounds come through. And this is what some people are experiencing when they put a compressor on their drum bus and the snare kind of disappears. See, that punch isn't there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually open up the attack a bit. There we go. And there is the impact, no pun intended, the impact of the drumstick on the snare. All right, still a little pumpy. I don't really want that kind of pumpy. So I can do one of two things. I can either bring down the threshold, or bring up the threshold, sorry. Or actually bring it down if you look at the meter. That sounds a little more natural. I'm going to go ahead and solo the snare. There we go. All right. And I can overcompress, but I can open up the global mix, which is kind of like parallel compression. So what this is doing is it's letting a little bit of the uncompressed sound. It's letting a little bit of the uncompressed sound come through on top of the compression. So you can regulate that by just not having the threshold too far adjusted, or you can use the global mix. Now, one of the other things that we can do too is we can add a little room ambience to the whole thing, and that's going to complement a little bit of the mix effect. So let's go to our mix verb, something really simple, and I'm going to put it before the compression, as if the room sound was coming through the mics. All right, I'm going to turn off the compressor. All right, that's a little too much. Let's see, I've got the dampening. I'm going to leave the dampening where it's at. And this is basically, if I go down, it's brighter. If I go up, the room ambience is a little darker. I really don't want any pre-delay. So let's see. Let's bring the mix down a bit. Let's see how this sounds. There we go. If I open up the size, there we go. If you're in a basement, All right, I'm going to leave it there. Now we're going to turn the compressor back on. That's too much. All right. Now I know the last few videos my English is terrible. The last few videos have been a little longer. But I think it's important that you guys see some of this stuff. So let me know what you think in the comments. Are the videos too long? Do you like the shorter ones? I just think for this subject, it was worth going through all of these little things to try to get a natural sound on sampled drums and using the mix effects. Also, using a little bit of the mix verb to create your room ambience as if it was recorded live. And a lot of the professional drums are done in a dead room. But I'm just thinking if you want more of a live sound and a little bit more controlled sound on your drums, I don't know if a lot of the pros out there are going to agree with my methods here. I don't really classify myself as a professional anything, but I do have a lot of years in experience with this. I've had a lot of happy clients when I do things like this. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. If you have other ways of doing things and you have some suggestions for me to try, I can do a follow-up video. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you all in the next video.